Back on CBS Sports HQ as we take a look at the draft of Hot Seat Shane. Joe Shane putting together something nice here for the New York Football Giants. They get their guy, maybe best player in this draft at number 3, and Abdul Carter getting back into the first and heating things up. But did they hit the mark with their dart? Appreciate the laugh. Ryan Wilson, we'll come to you here on the New York Giants. When we look at what they did, obviously it's the dream day, and it's what the Giants wanted to do. You get the bridge quarterback, you get the player at 3, you get back into the first, you maybe get the quarterback of the future, and then Edna ball player in Cam Scadaboo, too. How do you feel about the draft in totality?
Yeah, I gave an A. If Abdul Carter potentially is the best player in this class, Cam Scadaboo is the toughest, and it may not even be close. Jackson Dart, even if you don't love Jackson Dart as your QB, too, if the Giants believe in him, I'm willing to wait and see if this works out in terms of the compensation they had to give up to get him. I love Darius Alexander, 25 years old, had a fantastic season at the defensive line for Toledo, had an even better Senior Bowl. And then Thomas Fedone, I'll mention him, the tight end out of Nebraska. I was pleasantly surprised when I watched his tape. He's a better athlete than he's given credit for. I think he had some injury concerns, so he slipped to the 7th round, but he could be a late round steal there. So I give it an A, Mike. There's no way you top that.
I gave it an A+.
A+'s don't exist.
Outside of the Jackson Dart pick, which I admit he has tools to develop. He's a great developmental sort of quarterback, and he's in a great spot to develop because he's not going to get thrown to the wolves right away. But outside of that one, every single player was higher on my board than where he got drafted. That's a no-skip sort of draft. You love those. When that's the case, you got to give it an A+. And the one I want to give a shout out to is Marcus Bowe, the Purdue tackle. Came off the board at 154. I had him about 70 places higher on my draft board. I think he could start right away for them at that right guard position. This was truly one of, if not my favorite draft in the entire class.
All right, so we call this the bangers only draft from the New York Giants. I know Giants fans are happy to hear that from the lips of Mike Renner. Taking our talents now to Dallas. It was a measured approach here with their first pick, and then from there, there's a lot of holes to fill. There's some interesting cap situations. What did you make of what the Cowboys were able to accomplish trying to check some of those boxes that remain?
Give an A. And I think for as much guff as we give the owner, I think they did a pretty good job. And Tyler Booker obviously fills a need. They need him right away. His name's Tyler, so they're clearly going to take him there. Ezraku, good 80 pounds less than Tyler Booker, but he has some juice off the edge. Needs to get better against the run, but that's okay. Suvon Revel, potentially a first-round pick had he been healthy. Jaden Blue's a slasher, 4'3" guy, track speed. I'd like to see him run through some arm tackles a little better. And I'll mention Phil Maffa, a completely different type of running back there at the end there, pick 239 out of Clemson, who gives them another running back in that room.
Yeah, say what you want about Tyler Booker, the positional value of guard, but I feel confident saying this guy will be a Pro Bowl caliber guard by the end of his rookie contract and give you the best guard duo in the NFL. When you lose a Pro Bowler, not Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer, excuse me, in Zach Martin, this is a great pick to fill those shoes. And then rounds 2, rounds 3, rounds 5, the next 3 picks, Donovan Ezraku, Suvon Revel, Jaden Blue, these are all guys that could have gone much higher, for one reason or another fell, but I think are perfect fits for what they want to do at each of those positions. Ezraku, a great speed rusher to add to that room when you have a bunch of speed rushers in that room already. Suvon Revel, long corner to add to a group of long corners that are already in Dallas. And then Jaden Blue gives you juice. The guy ran the low 4.3s at his pro day. That's just something with Javonte Williams, the lead back, they do not have.
Said Will Campbell had the best bite. Booker had a good one, too, saying he just loves to see the love for football come out of his opponent's eyes. That's the type of interior offensive lineman you're looking for, and some pedigree coming from where he's coming from. Getting to the Commanders, which is an interesting timeline, because last year the conversation with the play of the quarterback was they're ahead of schedule. We see them on a championship Sunday. Now an amended schedule and expectation comes with it. What did they do to maybe meet that expectation over the last 3 days?
I think with Josh Connerly, this pick, no one expected it. Everyone thought after the Laramie Tunsil trade, they're like, oh yeah, they're full up on the offensive line. Well, the thing is, you're never full up along the offensive line. It's one of the most injured positions in the NFL. Nicks happen all the time to these guys. You need depth, and Connerly is one of the best developmental offensive linemen in this draft class. He's just a little behind all the guys that went top 10, but not lacking for tools behind those guys who went in the top 10. And then I'm going to go down the board, because I like Trey Amos. You probably like Trey Amos more than I did, but I love Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. This guy's one of my favorite sleepers in the entire draft class. The Arizona running back goes in the 7th round. He has incredible juice, something they do not have in that Commanders running back room right now. And so I think he pairs nicely next to Brian Robinson and even nicer next to Jay Daniels.
A lot of tread on the tires. Only one game last year, I believe.
Yes, only.
Yeah. New Mexico transfer, so I'm with you on that. He is your guy, though, so I won't steal that. You mentioned Josh Connerly. I had as a second-round grade, and I had Trey Amos as a first-round grade. So you swap them, you can feel just as good about it. Trey Amos, long, fast, physical. And I bring this up when we talk about Trey Amos. Jackson Dart described him as the best SEC cornerback he faced. And as Mike noted, you can never have enough offensive linemen. You can also never have enough cornerbacks. And Trey Amos physically is the exact opposite of what Manny Forbes was a few years ago prior to the latest regime coming in and moving on from him to the cornerback position, 166 pounds. Trey Amos is closer to 200. I love this. I gave this an A as well. The NFC East has crushed it as a division in terms of the draft picks they made.
We get to our final team in the division, that being the defending champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. Home Run Howie, he's known for hitting no matter where he's at in the lineup. First round, second round, third round. You take a look at what he was able to acquire in terms of talent. We made sure we did get a Georgia Bulldog, some other SEC talent there as well. Ryan, when you look at Howie Roseman's latest masterpiece, is it that?
Yeah, I gave it an A-, and I was doing it relative to the rest of this draft class in this division, but you look at these players, especially the top, Jahad Campbell, A+, Andrew Makuba, A+, Ty Robinson, I thought he had a chance to go late day 2. He's a plug-and-play guy in the middle of that defense. And, of course, they got a first-round talent in the 6th round of Kyle McCord. I got to ride the Kyle McCord train. He was going to be probably an early day 3 guy when you talk to teams. I liked him on day 2. I get that. And then Cameron Williams, the developmental tackle, right tackle, played opposite Kelvin Banks Jr. at Texas. He had an opportunity to go a little bit higher, but I think you get him here. And if any team can develop these offensive tackles, it's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think he got some bad advice because he's only 1 year as a starter, only a junior.
Yeah.
Came out because his tools popped right off the tape. He's got massive hands. He's super powerful, but his consistency down to down was not so much that someone was willing to go to bat for him, in the first 100 picks or so. But to get him there, where if anyone's developed these offensive linemen late in drafts, Jeff Stoutland in this Eagles team, yep. I expect him to be either a starting guard or starting tackle at some point by the end of his rookie contract, and obviously doesn't have to get thrown to the Wolves right away. But I love the Jahad Campbell pick, man. To get him at 31, you already had the best linebacker duo probably in the NFL last year.
Right.
When you had Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond. This just takes it to a level that, Vic Fangio's defense, I'm not going to say Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, I'm not going to put it at that level, but it might be as good as we've seen outside of that duo in the past decade at some point here in the next couple years.
Stoutland University, as we mentioned, with a couple new admittance. We'll see what the Philadelphia Eagles can do. What they are looking to do is something that has been done in over 2 decades. That's win the NFC East back-to-back seasons. A minus number to do so. Coming up, we get to a wide-open South, and maybe he'll be wide open for his young quarterback. Tet heading to Carolina. We head there next.